Hello students, in this video I will discuss about conductors, their conductivity and electrolysis process in detail. Let us start with concept of conductors. Conductors are those substances which allow electric current to pass through them. And on the other hand, insulators are those substances which do not allow electric current to pass through them. Insulators are also called as non-conductors. Conductors further divided into two categories: metallic conductors or electronic conductors, and second, electrolytic conductors. Silver, gold, copper. These are the conductors of first type of category, means metallic conductors or electronic conductors. Sodium chloride, hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide, these are the examples of second type of conductors, which is electrolytic conductors. Now let us discuss in detail about metallic or electronic conductors. These are the metallic substances which allow electricity to pass through them without undergoing any chemical change. Means when current is passed through them, there will be no change in their chemical composition and they remains same. These type of conductors show conductivity by the flow of electrons and hence these are called as electronic conductors. Let us understand their mechanism of conductance with the help of this diagram. Suppose A, B and C, there are three metal atoms in a metallic crystal. So electrons in the valence shell of atom A can easily go to valence shell of atom B, and electrons which are in the valence shell of atom B can easily go to valence shell of atom C. This ease of flow of electron in metal atoms is responsible for their conductivity. Now this conductivity depends upon various factors. First is the nature and structure of the metal. Second, the number of valence electrons per atom. More are the number of valence electrons, more is its conductivity. Third, the density of metal, and fourth one is temperature. Generally, conductivity of metallic conductor decreases by increasing temperature. So in this way we can say that all metals come under the category of metallic conductors, but some non-metals like graphite, carbon black and some organic polymers are also show electric conductance due to some loosely bonded electrons in their structures. Although these substances are not metal in nature, they are not metallic, but since they have loosely bonded electrons, therefore they can show conductivity. Second type of conductors are electrolytes or electrolytic conductors. The substances which allow the electric current to pass through them in their molten state or in their aqueous solution. These are called as electrolytic conductors. These are also called as electrolytes. For example, acids, bases and salts are the electrolytes as they can show conductivity in their molten state or in their aqueous solution. Now flow of electric current in electrolytic solution is by the flow of ions. Let us take the example of aqueous solution of sodium chloride. As we know that sodium chloride is an ionic compound. When it gets dissolved in water, it breaks down into its ions, and when current is passed through this aqueous solution, these ions move towards cathode and anode, and hence by the movement of these ions it can show conductivity. This conductivity, as I say, is shown by ionic compounds, so it is also called as ionic conductance, and these compounds are called as ionic conductors. As these conductance is shown by the movement of ions, therefore in solid state ionic compounds do not show conductivity, because in solid state ions are fixed at their position, but in molten state and in their solution, aqueous solution, as ions get free from each other, so they can show conductivity. This table gives an idea about the difference between metallic conductors and electrolytic conductors. First, metallic conduction is carried by the movement of electrons and it is carried by the movement of ions. There is no chemical change occur in metallic conductors. but it involves decomposition of the electrolyte as a result of chemical reaction. Third, metallic conductors does not involve the transfer of any matter. Current pass through them by the flow of electron only. So there is no transfer of matter. But in case of electrolytic conductors, it involves transfer of matter as ions. Fourth point of difference is metallic conduction decreases with increase in temperature, whereas electrolytic conduction increases with increase in temperature. Next is classification of electrolytes. Electrolytes, as we have discussed, are those compounds which can ionize and which can show conductivity in their molten state or in their aqueous solution. All the electrolytes do not ionize to the same extent. So, on the basis of their ionization ability, electrolytes can be classified in two categories. One is strong electrolytes and second one is weak electrolytes. Strong electrolytes are those which are almost completely dissociated into ions in their solution. Means we can say that they can dissociate approximately up to 100% of their extent. Strong electrolytes are generally strong acids and strong bases, and salt of strong acid and strong base. Okay, examples are hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride, etc. On the other hand, the electrolytes which do not ionize completely in their solution, these are called as weak electrolytes. Examples are weak acids, weak bases, and salts of weak acid and weak base. For example, acetic acid, carbonic acid, etc. Since weak electrolytes do not ionize 100%, so in their solution there is an equilibrium in between undissociated molecule and dissociated ions. Acetic acid, undissociated molecule, acetate ion and hydrogen ion which we get after their dissociation. So there is an equilibrium in between these ions and this acetic acid molecule. Now extent of ionization or extent of dissociation of weak electrolytes is expressed in terms of degree of ionization or degree of dissociation. It is expressed by symbol alpha. Now let us discuss various factors that affect electrical conductivity of electrolytic solutions. First is interionic attraction. These depends upon the interaction between the ions of electrolyte and the molecules of solvent, which are called as solute-solvent interaction and solute-solute interaction. Let us understand this concept with the help of this diagram. Solute-solute interaction, solvent-solute interaction. Okay. If solute-solute interactions are more than solute-solvent interaction, then solute will not get dissolved in solution, and in this way number of ions will be less and hence conductivity will be less. But if solute-solvent interaction is greater than solute-solute interaction, then easily solute get dissolved by the breaking of this force of attraction between cation and anion, and hence we get more ions in solution and hence conductivity will be more. Now solute-solvent interaction energy is called as solvation energy, and if our solvent is water then it is called as hydration energy or hydration enthalpy. If hydration enthalpy is more than solute-solute interaction energy, then solute get dissolved and more ions we get in the solution and it can show more conductivity. Second factor is solvation of ions. This depends upon the interaction between ions of the solute and the molecules of solvent. So it is called as solute-solvent interaction. During solvation, solute ions are surrounded by solvent particles, solvent molecules. If this interaction is strong, that means if solute ion or solute particles is highly solvated, means surrounded by many solvent particles, then it cannot move towards electrode and hence conductivity is less. So we can say that if solvation is strong, then conductivity will be less. Third is viscosity of solvent. Viscosity of solvent, if is more, then its conductivity is less. So viscosity and conductivity are inversely related to each other. Fourth concept is concentration of solution. Now conductance of a solution depends upon the number of ions, and the number of ions depends upon the concentration of solution. Okay, so if solution is dilute, then ions are free from each other and hence conductivity will be more. So concentration and conductivity both are inversely related to each other. If concentration is less, means solution is dilute, then conductivity is more, as the ions are free from each other. Fifth factor is temperature. Migration of ions towards the oppositely charged electrode depends upon the kinetic energy of conducting ions. Okay, so as we increase the temperature, kinetic energy of ions increases, and hence in this way ions will move towards their respective electrode more readily, and hence conductivity will be more. But this behavior is quite opposite to the metallic conductors. In metallic conductors, the conductance decreases with increasing temperature because the electronic vibrations increases, which causes barrier to the motion of flow of electrons. At high temperature, electrons vibrate vigorously. Okay, so as electrons vibrate vigorously, they collide with each other more effectively, and hence in this way electron cannot move freely. So metallic conductors show conductivity, good conductivity at low temperature, not at high temperature. Next concept is electrolysis. When an electrolytic compound or electrolyte is dissolved in water or in any suitable solvent, then it ionizes into its ions, cation and anions. And when we pass electric current through this solution, then cations will move towards cathode, which is the negatively charged electrode, and anions will move towards anode, which is positively charged electrode. Okay, so by the movement of these cations and anions towards cathode and anode, conductivity can be measured, and during this movement, when these ions go to their respective electrodes, some chemical reactions takes place there, and these reactions are called as electrode reactions or cathode and anode reaction. Suppose it is the solution of copper sulfate. So on dissolving, copper sulfate gives copper ion in the solution and sulfate ions in solution. Now suppose this anode is made up of impure copper metal and cathode is made up of pure copper metal. Okay, so when cations will go to cathode, copper ions, they accept 2 electrons from the cathode and get deposited there in the form of copper metal. Okay, at the same time, the copper ions which are present at anode, impure anode or anode of impure copper, these copper ions at the anode, they go in the solution in the form of copper plus 2 ion, leaving behind their 2 electrons at anode. Okay, so cathode get copper ions in the form of copper metal atom, and from this anode, copper atoms come in the solution in the form of copper plus 2 ion, leaving behind their 2 electrons at the anode. In this way, electrode potential gets generated in between these 2 electrodes, and hence current can be passed through the solution. Now products of electrolysis, that depends upon the nature of electrolyte being electrolyzed and the nature of electrode. If our electrode is not inert, then electrode can take part in the chemical reaction, as we have just discussed now, that the copper atoms from the anode come in the form of copper plus 2 ions, leaving behind their electrons. But if our electrode is inert, then it will not take part in chemical reactions. It remains inert, and the ions of electrolyte, they go at the surface and they show some reactions. So this is all about this video. In this video, I have discussed about conductors, conductivity, and electrolysis. Thank you.